Okay. So, hi everyone. Good evening, because it's evening. I mean, here is a little bit afternoon, but it's evening. Welcome to this informative session about health. We're going to talk about body, we're going to talk about mind, but also about immunity, immune system, a bit on glutathione because it's our main theme, and autoimmune diseases. Okay, I'm here representing a biotech company called Immunotech. But well, first of all, let me introduce myself very quickly. Okay, my name is Gala Gonzalez. I'm Spanish, but I live in Portugal since almost 50 years, more or less. Okay, I'm married. I have two beautiful daughters because they are beautiful. So 3 years ago, my older daughter was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Oh my God, what a name! Which luckily changed our life a lot. I won't give many details about this, but as doctors couldn't have enough answers for us on my doctor's condition, I started searching the web, and I came across studies, very interesting study that links levels of glutathione with autoimmune diseases. So the less glutathione you have, the more your immunity and your immune system is less capable of fighting against autoimmune diseases. Okay, but it's not going to be me talking about this. It's going to be Anne, our absolutely fantastic doctor, that is going to talk about all this. Okay, so Anne, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gala. Good afternoon or good evening or good morning, California. My name is Anne Swart. I am Dutch. I am from origin oral surgeon, but I am also specialized in anti-aging and aesthetic medicine. And I am in practice for a little bit close to 30 years.
Now Saudi Chinese trade.
And I have been living in Portugal for close to 30 years as well. And I have two clinics, one in the sunny Algarve in Portimao, and recently another clinic near Lisbon in the Sintra area. And I dedicate myself in making people healthy and happy and trying to see things in the very holistic and functional fashion. Of course, I want to thank Gala and Immunotech for this opportunity to talk about
Sorry, Anne. Right now. Sorry.
I'm okay?
Fine.
Yeah. All right, so let me continue. Well, first of all, I want to speak about what is the immune system. The immune system basically is our defense system against attacks from the outside. So we can have allergens that can cause allergies. We have microorganisms in the shape of bacteria or viruses. We can also have some cancerous cells or even some grafted tissue or donor organs. All these can be seen as an attack on our own body. All these attackers, they carry a molecule, and this molecule that we call antigen. And the antigen basically is like a warning system for our body that says, hey, here comes an attacker, and we trigger our immune system. And that is called the antigen response. So here we are going to attack these attackers, right? And basically, there are two large groups of immunoresponse in our body. We have one that is the general immunoresponse. It's done by some cells that have a difficult name. It's called the polymorphonucleus cells. These cells are the cells that when we get like an infection, they make pus, because they basically eat the attackers and transform them into pus. Well, it doesn't sound good, but it's what they do. The other big immunoresponse is the adaptive immunoresponse. And here we have cells, they are called lymphocyte cells, and they actually adapt. They are a bit more sophisticated than the general immunoresponse because they adapt to each different attacker. And this lymphocyte, so this adaptive system, basically they have two groups. One is called the B cells, and the other one is called the T cells. And these two, they work together. The B cells basically are the messengers, like they identify the attacker, and then the T cells, they're going after them to destroy them. So they work in teams, you know, one detects them and the other one finishes them off. It's like a warfare. The good thing about this specific adaptive immunoresponse is that they have a memory. So if you are attacked by the same thing in a second time, they are a lot quicker because they recognize the attacker and they can be a lot faster in solving the problems. So this is a little bit in general on how our immune system works, because it's important for us. Sorry. So now what happens if our immune system has an insufficient response? Either because there are not enough cells to respond, there are not enough immunocells, or they're just not effective enough, because we can have one or the other or both together. The first problem is that we can get ill, right? We are attacked, for example, by bacteria. We cannot fight them off sufficiently, so we get ill. And then traditionally speaking, we can take some antibiotics, kill off the bacteria instead of the immune system, and we'll manage, all right? The second possibility, when our immune system is not functioning or not functioning well enough, is, for example, if the body mistakenly sees a harmless substance as an attacker. So something as simple as some pollen come into our body and our body doesn't recognize them as harmless. They say, hey, these are attackers. And they start to create an immunoresponse in the shape of an allergy. So an allergy is a defective immune response to something that is actually completely harmless. And this can happen. So that's number two. We can get sick, we can get allergies. And the number three problem, and that's what we're talking about today, is what if the body wrongly sees our own cells as the attacker? This is what we call autoimmune disease, is that when our own immune system starts to attack our own good cells, right, then we have a problem. And I want to talk a little bit first about this first situation, is when we just get ill, right? Now, what happens, these lymphocyte cells, which is the big part of our immune defense system, the lymphocytes, these B cells and T cells, all part of this big family that's called the lymphocytes. They are dependent on a molecule which is called the glutathione, because to make these cells, and for their function, they need the glutathione to be there in sufficient amount. So the health of our immune system depends on this glutathione molecule. It is like the food of our immune system, right? So if we don't have enough, our immune system is not effective and we can get sick. Or we can also see that in autoimmune diseases, there is a lack, and there's always a very low amount of the glutathione. So we can ask the question as a scientist, now what is first, the chicken or the egg? You know, do we get the disease because the glutathione is low, or is the low glutathione the result of the disease? Well, and basically at the moment we are far enough into the science knowing that the problem is the lack of the glutathione molecule. Now, when do we see this in human bodies, this lack of glutathione? We can see this in a range of diseases. First of all, we see it in aging. Just simple aging makes glutathione go less and less and less because our body produces it more difficultly and it is just not there enough. This makes us more prone to diseases like cardiovascular disease, some kind of cancer, some kinds of dementia. So aging by itself is already a problem when we are talking about levels of glutathione. Then secondly, we see it in liver diseases, alcoholic liver disease, for example, also fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver problems, also viral hepatitis. So we see liver, we see problems with glutathione. We also see it in neurological diseases when we talk about Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis. Also, these diseases you get more when people get older. So it also has to do with aging, but it's specifically neurological problems. Glutathione also has a big role in lung problems like asthma, like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, respiratory problems. And the fifth one, of course, important for our theme today, is in immune system disorders and in autoimmune diseases, especially like you talk about, Gala, the rheumatoid arthritis, lupus also is a big one that is more and more talked about. So we have this, there are quite a number of autoimmune diseases that we come across more and more often nowadays. And we see Crohn's disease, for example, diabetes type 1, which is the insulin-dependent diabetes. We see multiple sclerosis, the rheumatoid arthritis, lupus. Well, even psoriasis is also a problem for skin disease from an autoimmune origin. And then what we discover in science also is that if people have an autoimmune disease, 25% of these people are likely to get a second autoimmune disease added to their first one, which is of course a very, very sad story, because it's already bad enough if you suffer from one, leave alone if you have to suffer from more than one. From that point, we are trying to see how can we improve our own immune system. And of course, we have a lot of regular tips, so like regular exercises and a good healthy diet with a variety of proteins and vegetables and fruits and all that. Also to keep a good body weight, not to be overweight. Get some good sleep, a good quality sleep, 8 hours if you can. Avoiding stress, taking some food supplements where needed, avoid tobacco and toxins and alcohol, radiation, and also to try to avoid taking what is unnecessary antibiotic. Of course, that's always a little bit of a question, but I don't know if you agree with me. Normally in the Southern European countries, we are very quick to prescribe antibiotics, everything. And even sometimes our patient demands it. If you say, oh, well, let's wait and see if we can fix the autoimmune diseases or autoimmune system on a different level, people like to take antibiotics. But we have to be careful because there is quite a big problem with antibiotic resistance. The same goes also for steroid medication in a different level, but also a problem. And one of the good and important things in our immune system actually is to get exposed to microorganisms on a regular basis. Sometimes we forget this, but our immune system needs to be stimulated and triggered, and to be in contact with microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, and everything is actually very important. And this is a big problem. What happened in the pandemic is that people start to over-sanitize and avoid all kinds of physical contact, wearing masks. There is like no contact or very, very reduced contact with all microorganisms, not only the COVID virus, but everything. And of course, this happens for quite a long period of time. We're talking about a year or more. Plus, people get through the pandemic, we were closed in the house, we got less exercise, we got overweight problems, we got diet problems as well. Plus, we have the vaccines, which apart from the vaccines also carry some heavy metals and some toxins with them. And what we see on a worldwide scale is that the whole immune system got very damaged altogether, and especially children and elderly, but even, healthy people have a reduced immune response, basically because they're not triggered enough in the contact with microorganisms. Okay, but we would like to see how we can strengthen our immune system and how we can make glutathione a good role in all of this. And for that, I want to explain a little bit what is this molecule, this glutathione. And basically, it's a molecule built out of 3 peptides. So there are 3 components in this glutathione. And one is what we call L-cysteine. The other one is the L-glutamate. And the third one is glycine. So we need these 3 molecules in our body for our body to be able to make the glutathione. Now, what happens is that the L-cysteine is the one that is less readily available for us. So this is what we call the limited factor. If we don't have enough of this cysteine, we cannot make more because we need 3 building blocks for each glutathione molecule. If we only have 2 and the third one is missing, it's not going to work. So we are always lacking a bit of this cysteine. So what we need is to supply our body with enough of this cysteine molecule to make enough of the glutathione. And what happens here is that we want to make this available because the cysteine is like what we call a precursor of the glutathione. Now, of course, I can answer one question that is mostly what my patient asks me: why can I not just take the glutathione as a supplement? Why do I need to take a precursor? Now, in the last couple of years, what we have been finding is that if we give our body antioxidants directly as a supplement, is that our own body reduces the production of our own antioxidants. So we get lazy and we get dependent on the supplements of antioxidants directly. So therefore we prefer tricking the body in giving the precursor, so we still has to do the job of putting those three molecules together and making the glutathione and keeping the body busy in doing this. So how are we getting this L-cysteine in our body, right? And here is where I come in with the product that is, of course, what we are talking about today as well, which is the Immunocall product. And what is the Immunocall? It's going to provide us with something necessary because we have this problem that cysteine is a very unstable molecule. So we cannot give the cysteine as a precursor because, first of all, it's not water soluble and it's very unstable. So it's difficult to put in some kind of product. Now, what Immunocall did for us is that they linked two cysteine molecules together and created something, then it's called cysteine. So it's very close, but one is cysteine, and if you have two together, it's cysteine. And they take that from a bovine whey protein. And this is bioavailable. That means it is stable. You can have it water soluble, and you can actually keep it and give it to people, and it will maintain its property. And the body will take these two molecules apart and make two molecules of cysteine from this one molecule that we find in the Immunocall. So we still have a good precursor, but we can actually produce this in the sachets that people can take, and you can put it in some yogurt, some whatever you prefer. But like that, we can actually have stimulate this synthesis, this making of the glutathione in our body. And also this process of making glutathione in our body is self-regulating. So we cannot overdose on this cysteine product. You know, what we don't need, the body will excrete without any problem. Now, the only thing that we have with the cysteine in Immunocall is that we have to be a little bit gentle with these two molecules together, because if you are too rough with it, like putting it in a blender, it will destroy this unit. And if we put it in something that is too acidic or too hot, then it will also destroy the product. So those are the three things. It is much more stable than cysteine, but still you need a little bit of being careful with this. And then we have enough research actually now proving that taking the Immunocall will increase the levels of glutathione in human beings in a safe way. That is important because it is absolutely safe. And then what we can see is that our own antioxidants will still maintain active. We will still produce them. We don't get dependent on it. And we get, the second good thing about the glutathione is that it has an action of detoxification against toxins and heavy metals. This is actually something that I use for my patients, the immunocal, because we have in the clinic, we have a big part which is the biological dentistry, and we dedicate ourselves to a lot of safe removal of mercury fillings. And to absolutely prevent that any kind of this mercury gets into the body, we want to detoxify as well. So we tell people to take this immunocal for 5 days to a week, just to bind whatever toxin can still be there, whatever heavy metal can still be there. The second indication is also people that are worried about the COVID vaccine and took the vaccine. They want to get rid of the heavy metals in the vaccine. So we also do the detoxification with glutathione, in this case with immunocal, which is very, very helpful. And from there, so we help our patients with all kinds of autoimmune diseases to try to reduce their flare-ups, because autoimmune diseases work very much with flare-ups and times that they're more stable, and we try to reduce the flare-ups, and we also try to reduce the need of taking chronic medication, you know, that they come off a little bit of, some are using steroids, some are using anti-inflammatory, depending on the autoimmune disease, what the regular medication is. But by increasing the levels of glutathione, we can, in most cases, reduce their normal medication. So for in case of rheumatoid arthritis, less anti-inflammatory or almost no anti-inflammatory, less flare-ups. Also in the Crohn's disease, less steroids. So that is basically what we use these therapies for on a day-to-day basis. And there I can give you guys a little bit back to Gala, because she has very good experience on how to best prepare and take the immunocal, and also she has very good personal experience with autoimmune disease of her daughter and how that affected their lives and how it positively helped her daughter reducing flare-ups and also controlling medication. And I think that is very, very important. And of course, it's important that we continue our research on all these systems, because of course, every person, every patient with autoimmune disease has their own story and their own system of, you know, what works for them better. And I think that it's important to do this together with the doctor that is normally taking care of them. But I think there is a real good indication of helping a lot of people with autoimmune disease with the immunocal products. I'm happy to have any questions, whoever wants to have the questions.
Yeah, in fact, Anne, I would like to give a little bit of time if someone wants to ask a question, because I think that when we think about autoimmune diseases, really it's like having the enemy on you, which is kind of very stressing. In my case, was absolutely stressing. So I would like to know if someone wants to ask a question, or more than one. Did you have a personal experience or someone that you know has some autoimmune or suspects that has an autoimmune?
For me, the question? No.
No. I'm waiting for the people, or maybe to.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Anna. Anna.
Hi.
Anna.
Thank
Oh,
you
Anna.
for sharing all this information. My name is Anna. I am Portuguese. I don't speak English. My English is not so good, but I understand everything that you said till now. A friend of mine made me this invitation to assist this conference because I have an autoimmune problem. I am 55 years old, and I have an autoimmune problem since 29. After taking the 3 doses of hepatitis B vaccine, I was in bad situation for a long time. I have how do you say this in English?
You can say it in Portuguese and I will
She can
translate.
understand Portuguese.
Okay. I have a polyartrite nodosa cutânea.
Yes, cutaneous polyarthritis. Okay.
I have a doença de Raynaud.
No. Yeah, so it's
I
a
have
rheumatoid joint problem.
vasculite e síndrome de antifosfolípidos. And
So we have a couple of them together there.
My life, it's since 29 was very difficult because all my life changed in the short time. I didn't have a chance to have children, and now I can have the sun directly in my body. I don't have such what do we say? I don't stand hot temperatures or cold temperatures.
Contrast, probably contrast.
Yes, yes. And then my friend, she knows about immunocall, and then she told me to start taking. So I'm in the beginning, and I don't have for now anything to share if I notice any difference, because I am in the beginning. So that's why I am assisting this conference, in order to understand better how can immunocall help me.
Okay. In fact, Anna, I think, because I've been always trying to research a bit and look, as Anna was saying, sometimes this autoimmune come not alone, because the immunity system starts like getting older, getting with too much information. The more chemicals we give to body, the less it recognizes your own cells. So it can go to your liver, it can go to your side, it can go to skin, it can go anywhere. So sometimes it's not by chance that we have not only one, but more than one. And as Anne was saying, we need to activate, to regulate our own detoxification system, because it's natural, because it's on us. And there's something that I've always believed, and Anne is confirming that, our body is extremely intelligent. It's got a lot of information about ourselves and how to defend ourselves from the outside bacteria, whatever, fungus, but we don't treat it well. We treat symptoms. We don't treat the whole body. That's why we came up with this kind of problems. And am I wrong?
No, you are right. I just would like to make one comment and about the vaccination. And also I want to say that I'm not against all kinds of vaccines, but it is now in a study 2 years after that we can see that if we are talking about the COVID vaccination, that the higher the levels of glutathione were in people that were taking the vaccination, the less symptoms they had. Because sometimes you can see that people get the first doses and they're doing fine, and they get the second doses and they get some kinds of symptoms, and then they get really bad after the third, like
Yes.
booster. So basically their levels were just enough to take the first one and to cope with that, and just dipping a little bit for the second, and then on the third they didn't have enough to fight off the byproduct of the vaccine. And I think also in the case of Anna with the other vaccinations, like in this case hepatitis, so if you have a repetitive doses, if we would have known these things before, you would actually say, well, let's stimulate our glutathione production as high as we can before we do the vaccination, so we have less risk of any side effects. Of course, we have a lot of vaccines for a lot of people, and of course we don't know what our baseline level of glutathione is when we start taking these vaccinations, and sometimes this can happen. This is also why we say always, don't take vaccination when you don't feel your best, or you have like some kind of a cold or whatever. But a lot of people they think about that, but we cannot say, like, determine, okay, your glutathione level is here, so it's a little bit low for you to take the vaccination, let's build that up. That is just in general practice, it's not happening. You can look at it afterwards and say, what went wrong in some people, like in Anna's case. And then most of the time, before we can even do some detoxification, it takes them forever to diagnose. I'm sure Anna had problems being diagnosed in the beginning as well, what's going on. And then you get one autoimmune disease diagnosed, and then the rest of them, sort of follows. But I'm sure it took at least 2 or 3 years to get all the diagnostics in place and the additional treatments. And of course that really messes with your life and your health and your well-being, the insecure feeling of what's wrong with me and what's happening and why did I get that. And most of those answers in regular medicine are just never even answered. So I really feel for you, Anna, and I really hope, I know it's not a miracle therapy, but I have enough proof that it can help. Of course, the autoimmune diseases are not curable. I'm not telling people that we have some kind of supplement that will cure autoimmune disease. That is not what we are promoting here. We are saying that if we have a better immune system, if we have higher levels of the glutathione, then we cope better with the flare-ups and we can reduce some of the regular medication. That is where it comes down to. And of course, I don't know how far you are in your therapy, but it will take, at least a month or 2 or 3 to really feel the benefits. If you're very sensitive to things, you will feel it quicker, but you need to be a little bit persistent, and I hope that it will help you a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sometimes depends also in the level of toxicity. So the more toxics you have to take out, the more it's going to take. But I think, Anna, one of the things that is not in the product but will be very good for anyone is this feeling of having hope. We have the hope of getting better, and you will notice, it's not in the product, but can help a lot of people. So already for me is something you cannot pay with money. I would like to know if someone has any other question. I don't want to rob more time because it's dinner time in Portugal. after dinner time in Spain. Keith, I don't know what's time there. Maybe your breakfast time.
It's lunchtime. It's 12:15.
So you're
I'm just-
hungry. You're hungry enough, you too.
Well, we're gonna go. I'm gonna share one quick thing. When I started on Immunical, my wife and I started taking Immunical. She was a quick responder. Okay, she knew within a matter of few days. Okay,
Wow.
she had terrible allergies, and her allergies responded quickly because we didn't understand that an allergy is simply an abnormal immune response. So she cleared up quickly. Now, this was many moons ago, or many years ago, and I was taking 1 packet a day, and it took 8 months for me to be able to say it was doing something. So
Oh.
what I would recommend, having been here for quite some time, take at least 2 a day, for maybe 4 a day for just like a week. Because as Dr. Bunos told me, your glutathione levels when you're depleted is like a bucket, and it's got a small hole in it. So if you have a disease or something, it's leaking out. So 1 packet a day may raise your glutathiones a little bit, okay, but it's going to take a long time. But if you put more in, you'll get that benefit quicker. So just a recommendation, because I start everybody with 2 packages of platinum a day if they think they're healthy, and so that they know that they get a quick response from it. If they're not feeling good, we do a little more, tell them to do that for 3 weeks, and they can start to adjust it from there. Maybe 1 packet a day is enough. Okay, maybe they need 2. I have a lady that has severe Crohn's disease. Okay, and she has to take 4 a day, and has for years. Okay, because she says that at 2 a day it's not quite enough, and 3 a day maybe, but 4 a day she feels good. So and I would just say, I don't know how much you're consuming a day, but I would raise it up, add a 1 or 2 additional packets to it for a couple of in 2 weeks. You'll know if you'll have that. So just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Can I just make one little observation with that? Please remember that because it is linked in a protein, that when we augment the dosage, so more than 1, 2, 3, 4 packages, that we need hydration. We need to drink a lot of water with that, because if not, it is not going to be good for you. You're going to have problems intestinal. So it's very important, the more Immunocal you take, to up your water intake. Drink a lot of water, because it needs to be hydrated to function.
Right, absolutely right. Sometimes people get scared because they cannot go to the bathroom. They have some intestine problems, and it's because of that, because you need a lot of water to eliminate. We're kind of triggering our detoxification, but we need water to run out of our body, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if there's no more question, I would like to thank Anne, of course. You're absolutely fantastic. I love it. Quick and concentrated, but everything was so well explained that I want to be you.
Come on.
And thanks to all the presents. Okay, I'm going to share this video, this recording with you, but I'm going to decharge before. Maybe we're going to cut a bit, some little pieces. Okay, but if you need it, please share and do